If there's one thing we've learned about business and life, it's that people are the X factor. They constantly surprise us, both in amazing ways and not so much. We're Ben and Syya, and welcome to the Gnaw on This Business Bytes podcast. This show is all about real life things we all deal with every day, how they relate to business, and how to make some sense out of our daily chaos. Welcome to the show. And welcome back to another episode of Gnaw on This Business Bytes. I'm Ben, and this is Syya. And this week, Syya and I had been talking about this for a while. Effective networking strategies. Now, we all network differently. Some of us live on LinkedIn. Some of us live on Instagram and, different other chat rooms that we belong to. Hey, listen, I still have people that are sitting there doing the audio game. But there's all different ways to network. It's not all digital. It's not all sitting in your chair looking at a screen and saying, I'm being productive. There's different ways to think. There's different ways to act. There's different ways to react. And there's different ways to network. So, Syya, let's gnaw on this.
So, I used to be a massive, networker, get out there, say hello, glad hand. I'm a glad hander. Shake hands. Mm-hmm. Here's a business card. I wouldn't do that. I wasn't that kind.
Oh God, I'll tell you a story about that when you're done. But oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a skill to networking digitally versus networking IRL.
Yes.
Versus networking on the golf courses,
yes.
course or activity or some type of thing.
Yeah.
Networking at a cocktail versus a formal convention or something of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
I think the art of networking is ultimately the art of communication.
Yes.
I think it is, no matter what, the common thread along that is leveraging your communication skills to find commonality. And I'm just going to say this right now. I understand that. I am saying that. But as Syya, I hate networking. I used to be like hugs and high fives and we're besties. Now I have to sometimes really switch my brain to not be judgy.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll tell you why. Syya is a judgy judge in real life. And maybe it's because it's Dallas. I'm calling you out, Dallas. But there's something about meeting people who don't know how to network.
Yes.
And their level of entitled selfishness of what do I owe them, when they come and approach. Like when they only want to meet you because they're just looking for what's in it for me, talking to you. I get so turned off by it, Ben. I'm like Madeline Kahn. I get so annoyed. It like steam comes out of my ear. Flames shoot out my ear because I don't understand how people think that's how you can make friends. When you approach them saying, "Hey, what is it that you do?"
You're pretty. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm out of here. Oh,
or even better, what is it that you do? Oh. So, okay. And you're like, what the prack? So, yeah, I'm a little bitter Betty. I'm a little heated. I'm a little Madeline Connie. But I think people have lost the art of communication to communicate in a way where it's not off-putting and that you can still find commonality. So, right back at you, my friend. That's what I think about the state of networking and art. And I don't even know if that's a topic anymore, but you just got me heated. I'm flames. Flames.
How many people network? And I'm talking to people that are learning how to network. And I used to teach people how to network. Make it all about them.
Mm-hmm.
It's, let me tell you how wonderful I am. Let me tell you how amazing I am. Let me tell you about everything that goes on in my life. And the last 10 seconds are, and what about you? Oh, okay, I'm out of here. Or the people that sit there and see how many business cards they could collect in one thing, and then they spam every single person that they collected a business card from the next day or the day after that. networking is about being curious. It's about being gracious. It's about listening. It's about being interested, not being about interesting. It's about enabling people to feel that they're the most important person in the room and you want to find out more about them. And it's not about an interrogation, it's a conversation. And it's doing it naturally and genuinely, not trying to figure out if they're a VP of what company, who their social secretary is, how do I get an appointment with you, and how can I sell you something in the next week. Look at it as a first date, not a marriage proposal. And too many people look at networking like a marriage proposal. I'm here at this networking event. Everybody else is here at a networking event. We all want to do business, so let's get right to business. Well, we're human beings. In the end, it's human beings engaging with human beings, being humane, and being curious about each other. It's really that simple. And I will go to a networking event with 500 to 1,000 people. And if I have 3 really interesting conversations over a 2 to 3 hour period, that's a bonus. That's a phenomenal evening as far as I'm concerned.
So can I just tell you something? You just made me remember something, and I remember this. Now, granted, this is a decade or 2 ago, but whatevs, when I still cared. Here's what I think you just struck me, that curiosity factor, right? Mm-hmm. Being genuinely interested in someone else. You just reminded me. I remember this one sales conference. This was at Sonic Wall. I don't mind saying it. It was an international sales conference. Mm-hmm. Small company at that time, 20 years ago, or more, 30 years ago. Anyway, I remember
more than a decade ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay, anyway, I don't even want to say decade, man. That depresses me too. Anyway, so I remember walking away from that sales conference at the very end of it while everyone's leaving. I was hugging and high-fiving, I would probably say, no joke, at least half of the people.
Wow.
And that was like at that point, there was I think they had 400. So I was hugging 200 odd people goodbye. I literally had people text when you get home safe. And the funnier part, because I said international for a reason, and my American colleagues were like, dude, we didn't see you all week.
Yeah.
It's because I was spending time with my international colleagues because they cared to ask. Mm-hmm. We had wonderful conversations getting to know each other. There wasn't this I don't know if it's an American thing of what is it that you do kind of vibe, right? And it was hey, I'm having a problem with this client. What are you guys seeing in your space? How are you guys doing it? And it was just such a no falsehoods of impressing each other.
It's how can we help each other?
How can we help each other? And I was curious of, is the same the obstacles that we get here in the United States, is it the same in Europe as in Asia, as in Africa and Latin America? Because at its root, humans are still humans, and maybe their approach might be slightly different. That might work in the United States. And I think that's what it was that now, I think with the networking now that I wish I had, was these people were genuinely curious, and it was such a wonderful back and forth, right? Because we were interested in one another. And I think that's what I was missing. And I don't know if it's an American thing. Do you think it's an American thing that I'm kvetching about?
Well, I also think that networking has changed dramatically post-COVID. Let's just go there. All right. Okay. First of all, people are more standoffish because we went through a period of 2 years or more where we didn't see anybody. And 5 years later, psychologically, people are going to say, let's just have a Teams meeting. Let's just do this on Zoom. Instead of me getting dressed, shaving, driving downtown, parking a car, going for lunch with somebody, getting back in my car, driving home, and taking half a day to do this, I'll jump on a Zoom call for 20 minutes, and all of a sudden, all you're doing is talking about business. And we've lost a lot of people have lost that ability to actually have conversations that are beyond the business, beyond the beyond the superfluous
Mm-hmm.
and the immediate. And I think that we've lost that. And there's a whole generation, and I'm talking about Gen Z and I'm talking about millennials that have grown up so much in the digital world that they don't, a lot of cases have either don't know or have lost the ability to have conversations that are non-contrived face to face. And I think we need to get back to that. I think we need to get to a point where we're meeting in large rooms, that we're actually having these conversations, that we're talking to people that we've never seen before, and actually getting to those points where you can actually shake hands and hug and break bread and drink wine and and laugh together, instead of having conversations that are just about business, and then at the end of 20 minutes you hit the leave button.
You know what's funny? You just made me think of, like, I bet you it will. I can see a trend. If someone wants a business idea that's really, it's not a long term business, but it's a very on trend business, is to throw networking parties to teach
Yes.
people how to network. And it's purposeful, like pause network. It almost like be like an active workshop type of thing. I'm
Yeah.
sure those exist everywhere, but I think it would be very helpful, because I gotta tell you, man, at Christmas, um, my family, the kids are growing up now. They're all millennials and Gen Zs, but they're not all of them. And I'm not saying them directly, but I did notice there's some that could not let go of that damn phone.
Yeah. That
And
bring their
I'm just
phones to
like,
the dinner table,
be
because
present,
that's
please.
been seen as socially acceptable today.
Have you gone to restaurants where you see large parties of youngers,
Oh,
and
they
they're
don't
all on
talk to
their
each other.
phones
They may text each other at the table.
at the table? I'm like, are you
They'll
kidding
text
me?
each
I'm
other at the
like,
table, but they won't actually physically open their mouth and talk to each other.
crazy, crazy, crazy. So that's why I think, okay, let me challenge you then. What's wrong? If that's their way of communicating, maybe that's the new norm. Ben, what if
I
that's okay?
think that what's wrong with that is it comes down to a previous conversation that we had on leadership, is it creates distance in between people. And when we have if we have increased distance, we have lack of empathy. We have lack of humanity. We have lack of trust.
Mm,
And therefore we get into a world that's transactional, and we're already there in a lot of cases. We're in a world that's far more transactional and far less trust and relationship based. And I think that you're seeing this, especially with younger. I have a friend of mine who's in the procurement, and she's in her mid-20s, and she's in procurement, and the relationships aren't there anymore. Like, she never sees her vendors. She may talk to her vendors online, but it's transactional. And it's become far more about, can you give me the better price, instead of, can you work with me to be able to fix this problem? And I think that we've lost the ability in a lot of cases to sit there and have that conversation. It says, look, I'm having an issue. I'm having a challenge. We've already built a relationship. We already have trust. We already understand each other. How can we work together to make this thing better? And we've lost that with our inability to network, and our inability to communicate, and our inability to empathize with each other. And it's a skill that we need to be able to go back to. And quite honestly, we need to start again with 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-year olds, and be able to build it out from there. Because if not, we're going to have the alphas and whoever's coming up behind the alphas, where we're going to perpetuate this. So by the time I'm going to grab my old age pension checks, there won't be anybody there to give me any customer service at all. I'm going to have to do everything online, because nobody wants to talk to me, and no one's going to answer a question of mine.
well, because it causes anxiety apparently now. Oh, that's another issue we could talk. Or you know what? No, it's not going to be an issue, because it'll be driven by AI. Ben,
Yeah,
come on, didn't you
that's
know
right.
that?
AI will solve all our problems, right?
Oh my
No.
God! Wait. Speaking of, okay, I just need to bring up one more thing, because I've been
Yes.
actually really bothering me lately, and
And,
I
and
think I
then we
wanted
got
to
to
bring it up
land this
earlier.
plane. Yes.
Is this networking. Let's just talk about networking. Let's go LinkedIn networking for a sec, okay?
Sure.
I went to an IRL networking,
Yes.
met an individual
Yes.
who has
In
always
real
liked
Yes.
liked every single one of my posts. So I, as a general, like, I'm assuming like this person wants to befriend me, I go check out their posts, right?
Yeah.
And so I would reciprocate out of kindness, right? Like, oh, okay, thanks for taking the time to read my post. I'll read your post. So I like, sometimes I'll comment. I notice the person never comments. They just like, okay?
Yeah.
And when I say like, it's a thumbs up, nothing
Yeah.
else.
It's like,
So that I knew that was an indicator of you know what. But,
Mhm.
you know, I'm just going to do benefit of the doubt. Met the person in real life. And I introduced myself. I said, hey. And I would like to think, because we do content all the time, there'd be some am I familiar with you? Because, like I said, they like every single one of my posts, Ben.
and your name is not Jane Doe.
And my name is not Jane Doe. And
Yes.
I don't have big hair in Dallas. Okay, I'll just leave it at that as my differentiator. The guy looked at me like I had like cross-eyed, and I said, dude, like, I comment on your posts all the time. He goes, oh yeah, thank you. And I go, you like my posts all the time. And he looked at me and goes, oh. And I looked at him, I go, you're using a bot, aren't you? And he just goes, shh, don't tell anyone. And I'm like, I was so turned off. I didn't even want to talk to him.
Pretty much.
Because at that point, I'm like, wow, you so don't give about, like, and he was so not conversational. Like, he was the worst. And I was like, okay, I'm trying here, kid. And that was another thing I want to complain about is people, I get it. You want to play the algo game on LinkedIn. You want to grow your followers. You want to get influential. But you know what? Pay attention to who you're liking and commenting with and whatnot, because you're going to get people like me say like, oh my God, it's nice to finally get to meet you. And then realize that it was a one-way relationship. There's nothing that will turn someone off faster who will not want to work with you because you don't even take the time to, even if you're using a bot, you guys, to grow your, take the time to, like, every now and then look at who's liked and consistently so, right? Like,
that's right.
I mean, yeah, that's a
Be human and humane. It's really that simple.
If you're going to use a bot, people on LinkedIn, and you're doing IRL meetups, you better freaking take the time to at least learn who your people are in your region that you're going to meet. Like, oh my God. It was, or you know what? That's fine. Own up that you use a bot and apologize accordingly and say like, oh my gosh, my apologies. No, that individual wasn't. They're just kind of like, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm out of here. I'm just going to have another glass of champagne because that was like, oh.
And that is how you kill a networking meeting in about 30 seconds or less. Because people want to be around authentic people. People want to be about people that are interested and interesting. People that are human and humane. And people that actually care about each other. And if you can't do that, you can't network. You can't do it online. You can't do it at the golf course. You can't do it at a networking event or a trade show or at a conference. So we all need to learn how to be a little bit more human.
I have more to say. I'm just not going to.
All right, so let's leave it there. I'm Ben.
And I'm Syya.
And we'll see you soon.
Hey. Thanks for listening to another episode of Not On This, Business Bytes. If you liked what you heard, we most humbly ask that you like, share, and hit that subscribe button. If you want to communicate more effectively within your organization, contact Ben at IamBenBaker.com or me at BrilliantBeingMedia.com. We can help you build your community, brand awareness, and personality through digital content and podcasting. We cannot wait to hear from you. See you next week for another episode of Gnaw on This, Business Bytes.